Ethiopia, Africa's second most populous country, is getting ready to undertake its fourth population and housing census in November 2017. The country is planning in earnest to harness digital technologies to improve the efficiency of the process and quality of the outcome of the census. Digital data capture technology will be at the heart of Ethiopia's upcoming census operation. The 2017 Population and Housing Census, which will be undertaken by the Central Statistical Agency with the support of development partners and UN agencies including UNFPA, is part of the 2020 round of population and housing censuses. The 2020 round, being implemented from 2015 to 2024, gives particular attention to advanced planning, use of modern technology, cost efficiency, coverage, and the timely dissemination of and easy access to census results. UNFPA's role includes providing strategic technical and financial support to ensure that national population and housing censuses are implemented in accordance with international standards and best practices, to improve data quality and timeliness, as well as leverage national and international resources for census implementation. 13 countries from Africa came together in February 2016 at a meeting in Addis Ababa, which the Ethiopian Central Statistical Agency organized in partnership with UNFPA's Ethiopia Country Office and Eastern and Southern Africa Regional Office. The meeting provided a forum for sharing knowledge and experience on ICT-enabled census data capture, transfer, processing, dissemination, and management.
The Ethiopian government appreciates the full adoption of modern technology in the entire population census process is a huge national and continental responsibility in accordance with international standards and best practices. In tandem with the tenets of advances in technology, the government is keen to support institutional capacity building at CSA to leverage ICT to improve overall quality and timeliness of statistical services. Particularly regarding census implementation, my government expresses its deepest appreciation to UNFPA for the invaluable support it has provided for the successful implementation of all previous censuses and for the critical role it is playing towards ensuring a successful implementation of the 2017 census.
African countries are making promising strides in ensuring regularity of census taking every 10 years as per the recommendations of the United Nations. African governments are increasingly taking more responsibility in the success of their respective censuses in light of the importance of census data for planning and national decision-making, and as funding from development partners grows more scarce. This has pronounced the need to adopt modern technologies for census undertaking for efficiency and reducing costs, thereby improving quality and timeliness of census information.
During the 2010 round, and of course what we are seeing in the 2020 round, censuses are increasingly being funded by national government. We are seeing that at least 80 to 90% of the entire census budget, is being funded by national government. Now that is not small amount of money. On average, in African countries, the cost of census implementation per capita is between $5, $6 to $10 per person in most of African countries. Okay, so for the big countries like Ethiopia, like Tanzania, like Nigeria, you can see that it costs well over $100 million to implement the census. So if a government is going to put in 80 to 90% of the budget, that's quite some commitment.
As Ethiopia prepares for the 2017 Population and Housing Census, the challenges for digital data capture are significant in view of the fact that it is a new undertaking. However, with the government's commitment to ensure a successful process, census implementers are optimistic they can overcome them with appropriate support.
In order to tackle such kind of problems or challenges, what we have is currently in Ethiopia is number one, is a government commitment at higher level and at all level. Government is very much committed for the successfulness of the census operation. During the previous census, the development partners also have been working with the CSA to cover the areas where we have the budget deficit, technical assistance, and also we expect the same this period, since this one is especially technology-based census is a huge operation and also expensive, and also what we expect from this census is a very quality result or quality census data. I expect that also the development partners also will provide the expected assistance.
Promoting cooperation among African countries that have already implemented censuses using digital data capture is among the strategies being followed in making the 2020 round of censuses a success. Hence, the inclusion of countries like South Africa and Kenya in the Knowledge and Experience Sharing Forum.
There are a number of things that make it imperative, not only for censuses but for statistical operations in general, that there is cooperation. For instance, we have to know that the technologies are uniform. Satellite imagery, whether you are in South Africa or you are in Ethiopia or you are in the Sudan or Egypt, satellite imagery covers us all. And by adopting technologies such as remote sensing and the like, you are able to create the necessary mapping facilities. Sharing the technology in terms of, as we move towards tablet technology, we can actually share this, not only the technology knowledge itself, but we can also share the physical units. For instance, if you look at the censuses in Africa, in the next 10 years, we'll be counting probably about 1.3, 1.2 billion people. Each country, for 6 weeks, will need a number of tablets. For instance, in South Africa, we'll need about 130,000. In Ethiopia, you need about 200,000 of those units. But after the census, you don't have a lot of use for that. You probably need only 5,000 for your office operations. Then what happens to the 155,000? Now, by sharing the technology in spaces or in time periods of 3 years, might be the way to go, because that reduces the cost, that helps us to standardize our methods, that helps us to standardize the instruments, and elevates the way and the quality of the statistics.
The 2017 Population and Housing Census of Ethiopia is estimated to cost around $170 million, some 60% of which is going to be covered by the Ethiopian government. UNFPA is working closely with the government of Ethiopia and development partners to ensure that the 2017 census using digital data capture technology is a success. UNFPA is also working very closely with the Ethiopian government to help it leverage national resources for census implementation. While preparations and the groundwork for conducting the census continue, as 2017 approaches, securing the required additional resources to ensure timely implementation and securing quality data that will inform national development planning is now critical. Effective planning to achieve the African Union's Agenda 2063 and Sustainable Development Goals will rely heavily on this outcome.
UNFPA provides financial and technical support to the government of Ethiopia for the preparation, the planning, and the execution of the 2017 Population and Housing Census. So what we do is to provide the initial seed money for the preparation phase, which includes writing project document, which includes providing short-term technical assistance in the form of consultants, which include also hiring international experts in the form of chief technical advisor and an expert in GIS cartography, for example. And we also provide financial resources to buy some of the equipments that will be needed for the initial start of the operation. Till now, we have provided support in buying handheld devices, which will be useful which will be needed in the cartography work in the field. That includes also regular items like computers, like other electronic devices. At the moment, we are in the process of procuring close to 600 tablets, which will be used both in the preparatory phase, the cartographic phase, and eventually down the line when we are ready, when the CSA is ready to move to the field with actual data gathering in the form of head counting. I use this opportunity to congratulate the government of Ethiopia, who has pledged to fund not less than about 60% of whatever the cost will be of the census operation. And what we're doing with the government is try to mobilize resources to cover the gap, 40 to 45% roughly.
Indeed, UNFPA country office in Ethiopia has since purchased more than 1,000 GPS-enabled tablets to support digital census mapping, and will support the purchase of many more digital devices to support digital data collection during enumeration. The International Meeting on Digital Data Capture for the 2020 round of population and housing censuses underlined the need to build strategic partnerships among regional partners such as the African Union, the Economic Commission for Africa, and the African Development Bank in realizing the effort of harnessing modern digital technologies in census undertakings in Africa. The field visit organized for the participants of the international meeting was an opportunity to observe implementation of mobile GIS technology in Ethiopia's 2017 population and housing census. The imperative to introduce use of modern technologies in census undertakings in Africa notwithstanding, the participants agreed the need to complement information gotten from censuses through putting in place a system of civil registration and vital statistics. This would enhance the efficiency and cost-effectiveness drive, with the ultimate aim being improving data quality and timeliness. There is already an application of this by countries like Ethiopia. The participants unanimously agreed to fast-track full or reasonable application of ICT in the implementation of 2020 round of population and housing censuses in Africa, and to support the establishment of centers of excellence for census implementation across the continent, to provide the much-needed quick and ready resource pool to backstop quality and timely implementation. Indeed, the workshop recommendations were compiled into an advocacy tool to assist countries to facilitate necessary discourses towards implementation of fully ICT-led censuses on the continent.